The following podcast will contain spoilers and explicit language. You've been warned.
There is nothing wrong. We are controlling transmission. For the next hour, sit quietly and we will control all that you see and hear.
Broadcasting live, deep within the wilderness of Vermont at 100,000 watts comes Radio Rialto, the movie podcast you never asked for and always needed. I'm your host, Steve, and this week, my co-hosts are...
Connor.
And I am Clay.
And today we'll be discussing Bringing Up Baby from 1938, starring Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn, and directed by Howard Hawks. So, fellas, roommates extraordinaire.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any personal history with Bringing Up Baby?
No.
No?
None.
This one specifically, no. My only connection would be I'm a big fan of Cary Grant, and so it was very exciting to be able to see him in less than his typical Hollywood role, I would say. It's not too far off from the romantic comedies he became well known for, but I would say the character, the sort of the spinelessness he inhabits, is very different from the more macho Cary Grant roles in, like, Philadelphia Story or Notorious, let's say.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because we'll get more into Cary Grant in a little bit, but yeah, I've never really seen him play like a nerd before. Like, he's usually, like a macho machismo guy. Older movies in general, do you guys watch a lot of old movies from, like, the 30s and shit?
Funny you mention it, I've actually been watching a bit too much Harold Lloyd as of late. Like, I'll be sitting in between classes and I'll be like, I'm not doing anything right now. Safety last. Let's go, guys.
Harold Lloyd is a charming motherfucker. What about you, Connor?
My experience with 1930 cinema is limited to W.C. Fields movies with my father. So that's pretty much it. Unless there's, like, something I'm just blanking on right now. But no, other than, like, The Bank Dick and, like, My Little Chickadee, that's, like, my 1930 cinema in a nutshell.
Alcohol. Yeah, no, in middle school and high school, I just perpetually had Turner Classic Movies on as the weird movie nerd that I was at the time and still am. So, yeah, it was interesting watching this and seeing little character actors like, oh, I know you from Mr. Deeds Goes to Town and things like that. So yeah, if we're done talking about that, let's go through some people on the creative end. So this movie's directed by Howard Hawks. Howard Hawks has had a very fascinating career, very varied career overall. He's worked in a lot of different genres. He started in the silent era. His first real thing of note was the original Scarface, which is a gangster picture and does not have Al Pacino in it.
Bummer.
I know it has Boris Karloff in it, but he does not play Scarface.
Montana.
No. His name is Tom Gaffney in the movie, so I think...
his name isn't Tony Montana, the original, isn't it?
I think it's Tommy Clemente or something.
Oh, okay. I was making a joke when I said Boris Karloff.
It is Tony. It's Tony Clemente, yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And who played him? Oh, Paul Money.
Yeah, Paul Muni, I think.
Why do I always think that Howard Hughes made Scarface?
I get Howard Hughes and Howard Hawks confused all the time. It's
Howard
the H. It's the HH.
Did Howard Hughes make a gangster movie?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay, maybe that's why I get them mixed up, because they both made one, and they both obviously are Howard H.
Yeah, I get the two of them confused all the time. So he made that. What's the next? The next really, like, notable thing is Bringing Up Baby.
And a few years later, he'd do His Girl Friday with Cary Grant again.
Yeah.
A film of a similar screwball comedy genre.
The year after Bringing Up Baby, he does Only Angels Have Wings, which I think is another... I don't think it's a screwball comedy, but I'm pretty sure it's a comedy. Sergeant York. Have you seen Sergeant York?
Heard of Sergeant York.
It's a really great war movie. It's a really, really great war movie. Then he makes a couple other movies. Air Force, which that gets nominated for a bunch of Oscars. One of the screenwriters from this wrote that as well, got nominated. To Have and to Have Not, which I believe is a Bogart and Bacall. And then The Big Sleep, which is a very big noir picture. That's a Bogart and Bacall as well. And then he goes into a lot of westerns, Wind River, things like that. Wind River? Fuck.
Yeah, you missed my joke. my wide eyes. The Taylor Sheridan motion picture.
No,
Wind
not
River.
Red River, the John Wayne movie Red River. And then he's one of the directors on The Thing from Another World. He was uncredited at the time, but now it's called Howard Hawks's Thing from Another World. The Big Sky, which I believe is another Western. But yeah, he's worked in noir pictures, he's worked in westerns, he's worked in comedies. He has a very diverse career, which is really interesting. Anything to note on the direction of this movie at all?
I think it seemed like a very competently directed film.
Yeah.
There's nothing about it that particularly stood out to me, nothing that detracted from it at all.
Yeah, no, it does what it needs to do. Clay?
Yeah, it's very like late 30s. We're not going to get crazy with the stuff we're doing.
No.
American-esque cinema.
No.
I will say, though, as direction of a comedy, this works very well.
Yeah, it's consistently funny throughout
Yeah,
the
no,
entire
it's
thing.
funnier than a lot of movies I've seen, like
Yeah.
modern comedies, in a long time. With the exception, obviously very different, but like with the exception of like Dumb and Dumber, Step Brothers, and like Wedding Crashers.
Yeah.
This is like the most I've laughed at a comedy in a long time.
Really?
Yeah, no, I thought I was like laughing from beginning to end.
Yeah, there's isn't there an old Shakespearean actor saying that tragedy is easy but comedy is hard?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so obviously he's not acting in the film, but to keep up that pace and consistently keep the laughter up there.
And to get his actors in a place where they can always be funny and
Yeah.
work off of each other and be given scenarios.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this movie is crazy intense in terms of the amount of energy that's put into it.
Yep.
So to keep that up every single day on set must have been
Yeah.
crazy. The only other people I really want to talk about are the screenwriters. There's two credited ones. One is named Hagar Wild.
Hager?
Maybe?
Maybe, yeah.
Hargar.
I'd say Hager then.
Hager.
It's gonna be completely wrong.
Hager
but-
Wild, let's go with that. He's mostly known for goofy comedies. He wrote some other Cary Grant movies. And then the other credited screenwriter is a guy named Dudley Nichols, who did not write a lot of comedies throughout his career. He did work with Howard Hawks a lot. Like I mentioned earlier, he wrote Air Force. He's mainly known for westerns and epics and a lot of action type movies. He's probably most notable for writing the original Stagecoach, the John Ford movie. And he was nominated for 5 Oscars. And his first Oscar nomination, he actually won, but he refused to accept his Oscar.
Why is that?
He didn't believe in Hollywood politics and shit like that, and he didn't want to get involved with all sorts of different agencies and all sorts of craziness. But what's crazy is that he wins an Oscar, rejects the win, and then they continue to nominate him 4 more times. So that was really interesting. But Dudley Nichols, he seems if you look throughout his entire career, it's Stagecoach, Air Force. I think he was on Rio Bravo. I could be wrong. That's another Howard Hawks movie.
Oh, he did have Rio Bravo?
Howard Hawks?
The John Wayne Rio Bravo?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know
Dean
that.
Martin is in that, correct?
Yes.
I have seen that.
No, my dad The Doors, that movie.
It's John Wayne, Dean Martin. Oh, there's someone else famous. It's Van Johnson or...
I'll look it up really quick.
But anyway, yeah. So Dudley Nichols is an interesting guy. I want to learn more about Dudley Nichols. So yeah, let's move on to the cast. And really, there's only 2 people that we have to talk about here.
Katharine Hepburn and the Leopard.
Yes.
It's also Ricky Nelson.
Ricky Nelson.
Ricky
that's it.
Nelson. I knew it was some sort of boy of the time.
Yeah.
Like an Anthony Perkins type, like a little teen idol. Why won't you load for me, Google? I'm not a fan of you right now. I'll just pull it up on the app.
I mean, Katharine Hepburn played marvelously by Cate Blanchett in the film The Aviator.
Cate Blanchett was nominated for an Oscar for that.
She won.
Right?
She won the Oscar.
She won the Oscar for that?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I had only known Katharine Hepburn by name and from Cate Blanchett's performance.
Really?
So seeing her, and I'm like, okay, so that's who Cate Blanchett's playing. I'm like, Cate Blanchett did a pretty good job. Kate, not to have a side note about Cate Blanchett, this is kind of technically about Hepburn. Cate Blanchett hams it up, playing it's wild. She takes her voice to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Yeah, she sounds like that, but girl, Cate Blanchett sounds like that.
Yeah. To go off of that, that's why I didn't love her in The Aviator because I'm a fan of Katharine Hepburn. I'm like, you are doing a caricature of Katharine Hepburn. Now back on topic.
It's hard not to do a caricature.
It's
of
great
Katharine
though
Hepburn.
because the first time you see Katharine Hepburn in The Aviator, she's playing golf, and the first time you see her in this, she's playing golf, and I'm pretty sure she says like one of the exact same lines too.
She was Scorsese is like a scholar of film, so like that was probably utterly intentional, and B, that's very accurate to Katharine Hepburn. She played golf and tennis, and she was this avid athlete. Katharine Hepburn, the most Oscar wins for an actor. She has 4 wins, and she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 nominations if you include all of her wins. So she's had a pretty legendary career. Her third win, which she won for The Lion in Winter, is one of the few ties in Oscar history. Do you know who she tied with?
What year?
The movie was 68, so the Oscars were in 69.
Kate Blanchett.
1960. I'm gonna say Susan Sarandon.
Susan Sarandon?
No, that would be too early.
I don't believe she's ever won an Oscar either.
Oh, I don't know. Jane Fonda.
It was...
Audrey Hepburn by any chance?
That would be really cool, but no. I'll give you a hint. It was like a pretty massive debut for this person.
Debut in 1969.
Yeah.
Not Barbara Streisand.
Not Natalie Wood.
Barbara Streisand.
Right, Barbara Streisand.
She tied with Barbara
For
Streisand for
Funny Girl? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's one of the few ties in Oscar
I feel
history.
semi-proud of that.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed that I think late 60s, and I'm like, Natalie Wood.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Wait, Natalie. Let's not talk about Natalie Wood.
She not Yeah, and she's never been present for any of her Oscar wins. I don't think she ever went to the Oscars, but I could be wrong.
She just wasn't into it.
No. But yeah, what did you think of Katharine Hepburn in this movie?
Top notch.
Top notch.
A+.
Yeah.
No, she's amazing, especially reading into it, where she had problems with comedy in the beginning. She wasn't confident in the ability. She was amazing in this. I thought she was funny. She was charismatic beyond belief.
Oh, she has charisma for days.
Yeah, no, I
It's
bought
amazing.
her 125%. And the thing is, like, you and Shelby hated her character. She was like, well, she did it well, but her character's kind of despicable in a little bit of a way.
Yeah, her character's very despicable.
saying?
I think her performance is...
She was so charismatic to me, I could not hate her for the life of me.
That makes me hate her more.
I loved I wanted to get to know her and, like, have her, like, fuck with my life a little bit, too.
She would fuck up your life entirely. That's what I'm saying.
I'd still want to be her friend, though.
And everyone accepts it because she's so charming.
She's
and-
amazing, yeah.
Well, she makes you feel great, but
Yeah,
then she'll
that's
fucking
true.
destroy you in the
That's
end.
true.
Like
No.
heroin.
Sorry, we're kind of, like, spoiling. No, we're not, like, discussing the film before getting to the film a little
Well,
bit.
no, we're
but,
talking about her performance.
You know, she's amazing. I have no complaints there at all. No qualms at all.
No, here's the thing. I don't necessarily have a problem with this character as written, except when we get into the romance. And trust me, we'll get into the romance. I think her performance is incredible, though. That's the thing. Like, this is a person that if they existed in real life, I would want to strangle. But Katharine Hepburn is so naturally charming that it's just like, I'll watch you for 3 hours. Absolutely. What about you, Clay? What do you think of this?
I very much agree with Connor, where if it weren't Katharine Hepburn in this role, I would lose patience a lot faster. I do agree that I have issues with the way she's written, and it is very much in the romance, but I feel like, and we'll get into that when we get into the story, but once she goes to the romance, it kind of ruins the character for me.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel that. But also, it's just like, if this character existed in real life, like, she's very much like a trust fund baby. Like, she's never had to work a day in her life. She's just sort of waltzes and gets whatever she wants.
So she's half the cast of Rent.
Oh my God! Don't get me started on Rent, but yes,
We should
she's
have a podcast on Rent.
if
That'd be a trip. Me and
If-
you talking about Rent for an
if
hour.
this movie took place 50, 60 years later, she would purposely choose to live in squalor. Yes, Clay. Fucking Rent, man, I hate it so much.
I love Rent.
Oh God. Anyway, I think, but yeah, Katharine Hepburn's really amazing. Can we talk about her wardrobe real quick? Because I fucking love her
It was
wardrobe. in this.
great.
Brilliant work.
That jumpsuit. Oh
Right.
my God, that jumpsuit.
Especially for that time.
It's so rare. It's so rare to see a woman wearing that, especially in the 1930s. Yes. But yeah, she was. I wonder if she had input in what she wore.
Even if she didn't have purposeful input, like as like talking to the costume designer, I'm
Yeah.
sure there was parts she's like, no, I'm not wearing that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's points she's like, just no, I'm not gonna wear that. I don't think she's like, hey, for my costume, can it be this? Like they gave her a dress. She's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm just not gonna wear that.
But she also has like such specific like bone structure that
Mm-hmm.
she sort of leads to like certain types of outfits. Like she
Yeah.
works that jumpsuit wonderfully.
My thing is, it wouldn't shock me if Katharine Hepburn showed up to set one day saying, hey, what I'm wearing right now is what I'm going to film in. And I could see the costume department very easily saying, yeah, you're right.
Howie, you better start shooting now because if you don't, I'm gonna walk right off set. You imagine she did that?
Yes,
That's actually pretty good.
that's a spot on Katharine Hepburn.
Kate Blanchett, are you here?
We should.
Oh, you're too much. Yeah, all my impressions are just fucking old actors. Like I can do like Jimmy
That was actually
Stewart,
kind
Edward
of shook.
C.
That was kind of good.
That was really good.
That was shook.
Here's the thing: if I try to do it again, I would probably fuck it up. It's one of those things that you can't think about.
Yeah, I get
That's
you.
why it's good we were recording.
Yeah. But yeah, Katharine Hepburn. Anything else you have to say? Any other movies you've seen her in at all? Well, you know.
Literally, this is the first
The
thing.
Philadelphia Story. I love her in the Philadelphia Story. Side note, in case you don't have eyes, Katharine Hepburn is gorgeous.
Oh yeah, she's a beautiful woman. I figured that was like not even a question.
But I just wanted to say that out loud.
No,
Put
she's
it
a
this
very
way.
beautiful woman.
She had a years-long affair, common law marriage. Her relationship with Spencer Tracy was complicated.
Yeah.
It was
a
very
thing.
complicated. But he's one of the most handsome men to ever live. So like for him to
Really?
fall Spencer
I
Tracy.
guess I've never seen a picture of Spencer Tracy.
Oh, I'm gonna.
I know the guy who plays him in The Aviator, and I was like, he's not.
There's somebody who plays Spencer Tracy
Yeah.
in The Aviator.
Briefly, it's kind of like with Jude Law in
In The Aviator?
The Aviator, where he's there for like 2 scenes.
Oh, dude,
I
Who
think
does he play in The
Errol
Aviator?
Flynn.
Yeah.
He's
Really?
so
He's
good.
perfect as Errol Flynn.
Aviator podcast.
I've needed to watch The Aviator for a long time. Connor, for context, this is Spencer Tracy in his 60s.
Okay, that's a handsome man.
Yeah, imagine young Spencer Tracy.
But no, Clay's point, Katharine Hepburn is gorgeous.
Yeah,
I forgot that I was looking at a woman in 1929?
38.
38, wow.
You're
okay.
off by
a decade.
9 years.
No, but like I was like that. You know, this is gonna sound kind of shitty, and forgive me, but the standards of beauty have changed a lot from the 30s to now. So
Yeah.
as many times where I see actors from the 30s that people deem as super attractive, it's like I personally don't see it because I have the more modern view of beauty a little bit. Katharine Hepburn transcends those kind of like barriers.
Yep.
She is just gorgeous.
part
beyond
of
belief.
it, I think, it's not even physical looks. It's more just like, it's that charisma. She
Yeah,
has
no.
a glow to her.
Exactly.
If you watch like in other movies as well, I'm trying to think of other movies I've seen her in. But yeah, Philadelphia Story, David Lean's Summertime, like just the way she walks, like she just has this very like confident way she carries herself, and it's really, she's really in terms of body language, like actors should really like, she's someone you should study. Katharine Hepburn. Anything else that we have to say about
Nothing about
Katharine
Katharine Hepburn.
What's the name of her character's name? It's
Oh,
Susan.
No.
Yes, it is.
Is it Susie?
It's Susan something. I forget the last name, and I don't care. I'm already moving on.
Fair enough.
So next up, we have the world's most secretive Brit ever, Cary Grant.
Oh, yay.
Any feelings whatsoever? Excuse me.
Okay, also my first Cary Grant movie. He was great.
Yeah, Cary Grant's a charming motherfucker.
I see. Here's the thing. Not knowing he doesn't usually play nerds, he did nerd so incredibly
He
well.
does do flustered nerd very well.
He does I
Yeah.
thought that was like his shtick. Like just watching Bringing a Baby. It's like, oh, this guy just plays nerds and he's pretty dang good at it. Because here's the thing. Cary Grant's an attractive looking man. He's just on the line of not that attractive. If that makes sense.
Well,
I can see that.
I don't. Here's the thing. If this movie was made like 10 years later, you can't do it. There's a babiness to his face. Like there's a freshness to his face in this, whereas in like I think a lot of people are used to sort of older Cary Grant in
Like
the
North by Northwest.
North by Northwest, Charade, some of the stuff that he did in like the post-war, later 40s, early 50s, where he's just like he's a man now.
Yeah.
But this, he just seems young. He seems like he could easily be flustered, which is important.
Part of it comes from the fact that he was so young. This was like one of
It's
his
early.
earliest hits.
It's early. I don't believe he worked in the silence at all. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, no, I think his earliest like film he did was in
32.
I want to say 32. I was gonna guess 33.
32. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So this is what
That motherfucker worked a lot too. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's just movie after movie. Well, this is also during the studio system where actors were just on contract.
Yeah.
So like you were in whatever they told you were in.
Yeah.
Wild to think about.
But yeah, this guy made like 6 movies a year. And in 1938, he's only in 2. He's in this and a movie called Holiday, which also stars Katharine Hepburn. He was in 2 movies of Katharine Hepburn that year. Which now I want to watch fucking Holiday. Oh, it's a George Cukor movie. That makes sense.
Yay.
George Cukor, who did the Philadelphia Story and a bunch of other comedies and musicals.
Mm.
And then he's in things like Suspicion, which is another Hitchcock movie. What are the other big ones? That North by Northwest.
To Catch a Thief.
Arsenic and Old Lace, which is a Frank Capra movie.
His Girl Friday, a few years later.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Which he's really... Here's the thing. He's hiding his British accent pretty well in this.
Mm-hmm.
He's not doing it all in His Girl Friday. And I'm like, what are you doing with this accent that you're doing? I think, was it you we were talking about this where you said he's trying to do like a New York dialect and that's fucking him up?
Yeah, I think it's the fact that in Bringing Up Baby, it feels just like he needs to be, okay, I must be American. All I need to focus on is being American.
Yeah.
In His Girl Friday, it's, I have to be a New Yorker, and I have to talk just as fast. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah. Do you want to know Cary Grant's birth name?
Sure.
Carathan.
It's Archibald Alexander Leach.
Dude, why didn't you keep that?
Dude.
At the very least, keep Archibald.
Alexander Leach is a really cool, like, actor
Archibald
name, too.
Alexander Leach. He sounds like a fucking Ed Gorey poem. It's
Just
amazing.
think about the Leach. Dude, Archibald Alexander is a pretty cool name for an actor.
That is
Yeah.
really cool.
He was born in Horfield, Bristol, England.
Yep.
I think he came to at age 14 he left school. He lied about his age and he forged his father's signature on a letter to join Bob Pender's troupe of knockout comedians. So he essentially came from vaudeville.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's why
This
he's a funny
motherfucker's
guy.
insane.
That's why he's funny.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to join the military when you started that.
Yeah, and then I think he was a stowaway on like a shipping crate.
That's
And then he came to New York and pretended to be an American and he got on Broadway.
Oh, that's so cool.
Cary Grant has an insane life.
See, why have we have a Cary Grant biopic?
I don't know. Well,
Who
do you
would play Cary Grant?
That's
George Clooney if he was younger.
Yeah, it's too late now.
Yeah.
There's a guy that George Clooney wants to play, who was like a actor in the 30s.
Clark Gable.
Was it Clark Gable?
Well, every time he's in a Coen Brothers movie, he's basically doing Clark
Okay.
Gable. Because the Coens will only put him in comedies, and he
Yeah.
just goes ham.
But I mean, I don't know. That's a different podcast. Who would cast as Cary Grant?
Yeah.
Can that be next week's podcast?
We'll find out.
I have opinions.
I want a tattoo that says Archibald Alexander Leach. Anything else we want to say about Cary Grant's performance? Oh, there's really great moments where like people will just keep talking and like he'll want to say something and he can't, and he just gives really great facial reactions. He's really good at being flustered in this movie.
Yeah. He's never not trying.
He's
which I
part of the
very much
overarching, like,
appreciate.
just comedy's just really successful in this movie. It's just overly funny, and that's because the leads of Katharine Hepburn and him, they're just excellent
Yeah.
together.
Bringing Up Baby. Yeah, we got Walter Callett as is he Constable Skolum or
I think Constable.
Constable.
I think
Yep.
he seems like a constable. Barry Fitzgerald as Mr. Gogarty, who's I think he's the hunter, right? Mr. Gogarty,
No,
No,
the hunter
no.
was not Mr. Goguri.
I believe
Mr. Peabody,
No, Mr. Peabody is the lawyer.
right?
lawyer,
Yeah. I will look up the hunter.
Major Applegate.
Major
That's
Applegate's
it.
the hunter.
That's Charles Ruggles.
Another great name.
That's a
We'll
really
get to the
fucking good
specific
name.
bits later, but the bits with Applegate are amazing.
Where he's hunting the leopard.
Where he's hunting the leopard, plus when he's at the dinner table talking to Cary Grant, and Cary Grant's not aware of the story that was made up for him, where he's a big game hunter.
Yeah.
And he's like asking all these like places, like, where do you hunt? And he lanes all these kids like, oh, da da da, like, and they, you must be this place. And he's like, oh, I've never been there. And it's just so good, just that continuous like bit. The whole thing where she told the aunt and Applegate something that he didn't know about himself is just great.
Man.
Or the first time she says he's a big game hunter and he's just on all fours going after George is perfect.
That is a really good visual cue. Do we know the name of the leopard that plays Baby?
They said it. I'm pretty sure. I think it's on IMDb.
It's not credited on IMDb.
It's not.
I'm trying to scroll through trivia to find it, but I can't. But one thing I did find is the top piece of trivia is that Christopher Reeve based his performance of Clark Kent in Superman on, well, Cary Grant's character specifically in this movie.
I don't
David
doubt that
Huxley.
for a
That
second.
makes too much sense.
It makes perfect sense. It makes,
Nisa is the name of the leopard.
Misa's. And did they play both leopards?
I would assume so. Nisa with an N.
Nisa.
Give Nisa credit. She's might be one of the better actors in this film too.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the two leopards in that are very different, like demeanors and like.
Yeah.
Oh, trust me, we are gonna get to the animal acting. That's one of the big things I want to talk about because there's some crazy shit in here. So yeah, is there anything in the plot that we want to like go through? Like let's just talk about scenes that we really liked.
Scenes I really liked.
Yeah.
The jail scene is great. Just the whole misunderstanding and like that whole thing where it's like, or he's like, who do you run with? And he's like, Donald the Duck and Mickey the Mouse.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you get that?
That's good.
We got him. We got his cohorts.
We got his cohorts.
So good.
There's the jail scene is really great if I watch it individually.
Yeah.
We'll talk about. I'll get to this later. At a certain point, I was just tired of this movie. After like pretty much as soon as we got to the aunt's house, I was like, I'm done. Can we like wrap this up like soon? And then it goes on for 40 more minutes probably.
Around, yeah.
Yeah. I recognize it's consistently funny. I was just tired.
I get that, yeah.
And I've never had that with other screwball comedies I watched just for some reason. There was less for me to hang on to with this one.
Yeah. I do agree with you, not to the full extent, but it does drag once they get to the aunt's house.
Yeah.
It does. The aunt's house drags, then when in the woods it gets better, and throughout the woods at the end, I was back into it 100%. But I was kind of in and out a little bit at the aunt's house.
Yeah. Oh god, but yeah, I do like the jail scene. The moment where she swings open the door. What does she call herself? Annie Swings or
Oh, something like that.
Oh, it's Susie Swings and By or something.
Something like that.
She keeps her real name. It's Susie Swing.
No, but it's so
something.
great where she does that whole like.
It's a
bit.
magical moment where she just the doors close and then she swings and she's on it the entire time until it like lands on the other side.
Seeing another bit though where his Clark Gable's character opens not Clark Gable Cary Grant's character opens the cell door and he's just like talking to the guy like, hey, can you like just pay attention?
Yes.
And the guy's just like this console freaks out and goes and locks the cell again and then
Yeah.
Cary Grant's like, you forgot to lock the door. It's just so good.
There are wonderful bits of physical comedy in here.
Great
yeah.
bits of physical comedy. Or when he like falls on his hat, he throws the
God.
olive and falls on his hat.
Where
There's
the dress splits and
the
they have
dress
to walk
splits
together.
where he's walking behind her.
Yeah.
There's still just a lot of really good bits in this movie.
The golfing scenes.
The golf scene's great.
Just another minute, Mr. Peabody.
As he's being driven away.
Yeah.
I was like, that's my car. It's like, no, that's my car. It's just like hitting a tree into different cars. Like, just what? It's so good.
When he goes into the butcher, he's like, I want 30 pounds of sirloin.
Okay, how would you like it? Raw?
Raw.
Oh, who eats this? Oh, it's for baby. Or when baby goes, like, she's parked in front of a fire hydrant, and baby girls into a different car. It's like, oh, no, that's my car.
Ma'am, do you realize that you're parked in front of a fire hydrant? Yes.
Yes. And like, it's against the law. Yes.
Yes.
I wanted to watch the parade go by.
No, it's so good. And he's like, I forget the officer's name. I'm Officer so-and-so. Like, oh.
I think it's Skolum.
I was like,
I think
oh,
that's what
is
IMDb
that
said.
it? It's so good. They don't call it a fire hydrant. They call it something else.
He does call it something else.
But it's
like a
like
drain line or something?
no, it's like fire and then not hydrant, but a different word.
Fire spout?
No, it's something really weird. Like I knew what they were talking about because I know what fire hydrants are.
Right.
But it's just like no, it's. But
I noticed that as well.
But the bit's great, especially because Cary Grant points it out first, and then you get him coming up in like the 3 lines of like, you're parked in front of this. Like, do you know what's legal? Yes. Do you know
Yeah.
who I am? No. And that is great. There's other bits that are really great in that movie. The golf scene's just great.
It really is.
The big game hunter bit is great.
That's
Everything with that.
Stealing Cary Grant's clothes.
Stealing Cary Grant's clothes.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll talk about the semi-problematic ad-lib later.
Oh, I've turned gay all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've watched a lot of old movies. There's a lot of worse shit that he
No,
could have said.
Yeah.
It's 1938, right? Did I get the year right? Apparently that is the first time that word's been used in its current connotation, which is interesting.
if you
denotation, I should
interpret
say.
it that way,
Yeah.
I mean, gay also could refer to happy, and like,
I think in this context, with him wearing a woman's robe,
yeah,
it was kind of the shitty way of
Yeah.
referring to homosexuality. I
Yeah.
think that was him, Cary Grant, which
Well,
I'm sure Cary Grant's a nice guy. Most men in the 30s were homophobes.
Well, and here's my whole thing about that, and why I think it is genuinely the other one is because, well, censors at the time would not let them even mention homosexuality.
That's
No.
true.
It was not a thing that
yeah,
you
this
could
is
like
post-Hays
talk
Code.
about.
It's post Hays Code.
Yeah, and also Cary Grant himself, I can't remember who was telling me this, but supposedly he was a bisexual man
Yeah.
in real life, so I don't think he would be the first to start bashing the gays.
Yeah. You think it was the
I
old
think it
connotation?
I do think if it was meant to
It's a weird use of it.
Yeah, like someone pointed out, where it's like the only person who knows is Cary Grant, and he died 30 years ago.
yeah,
More than that.
Oh,
I think he died in the 60s.
at least 4 years ago.
He died pretty young, I think.
but yeah. But no, we'll never know. I think I've only seen like IMDb trivia regarding that, which IMDb trivia is obviously laden with like just bullshit. Or,
No, it's
like,
the most reliable source. It's like Encyclopedia Britannica, IMDb
Wikipedia.
trivia.
No, dude,
Yeah.
I was way
The
too
Bible.
IMDb trivia for a long time.
Yeah.
I took it like as gospel, which I know now is not true at all.
No. Christopher Reeve hasn't even seen Bringing Up Baby. Any other scenes that we want to talk about?
Not that I'm thinking of right now.
Any good bits? What do you think of the dinosaur falling apart at the end?
The dinosaur falling apart is kooky.
Yeah.
I like, okay, the ladder is dumb, but I love the ladder swinging back and forth, and she's not
how
even acknowledging
like,
it.
crazy it is.
Yeah, she's not even like, just like, she doesn't even care. She's just like swinging back and forth.
I was thinking, how the fuck did they do that?
It's probably just people holding the ladder. And just
No,
going
I
like
know
this.
it's people just holding the ladder, but Katharine Hepburn still has to be on that.
She's just calm.
But they don't have her in like a harness or anything, probably. How high do you think that ladder is?
Probably not that high.
Probably not as high as they portray in the
No,
movie.
it's probably like maybe like 10 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
And I'm hopefully, this is the 30s, so probably not.
Yeah.
They had like pads down there for her,
probably
or at least men to grab her.
They had Jimmy. Jimmy over
They had a
there.
guy- they had
Jimmy's
Jimmy.
gonna catch her if she falls.
They had
Jimmy's a catcher.
they had the gaffer with like a catcher's mitt. So
Oh, no.
No, the grip, man.
You know that fucking trampoline the
Oh,
fire department
they
would
had
hold
one of
out
those.
in like the old, in like,
Dumbo.
yeah, basically.
Yeah. Honestly, I can see that more than like actual like safety precautions.
One thing I do love is that once the dinosaur falls and Cary Grant.
Yeah.
I thought I called him Clark Gable, and he's just holding her, and he just hoists her up.
Yeah,
he's a buff
one-handed.
boy.
Yeah, one-handed. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how much do you
And
dead
everyone
with
in our
Cary
class was like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
Weird
Well,
flex, bro.
Well, I mean, also Katharine Hepburn is a tiny woman.
Oh
bringing it
yeah,
right
she
down
probably
to it.
weighs 80 pounds.
Weird flex, but okay. Like,
Yeah.
I can pick up a girl from a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Also, that shot was real, where she's just dangling by Cary Grant's arm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is insane.
No, when the dinosaur falls down, that is a stunt person.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm saying like I'm assuming that's Katharine Hepburn dangling there, or they both could be stunt performers.
Well, when I think during that wide shot where you see the dinosaur fall down, those are stunt performers.
Yes.
And then they cut back to the less wide shot where you can clearly see him. That's both of them, and he pulls them up, but they probably weren't that high. They were
No.
probably like 10 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
Also, this is just the way my brain works. What kind of ladder were they using where she's dipping at like 45-degree angles and the thing is still standing?
Good one.
cartoon.
It's a good ladder.
It's a cartoon starring people.
It's a great ladder.
Any
Handed by
others-
a Home Depot, not sponsored.
Do we want to talk about Huxley's fiance?
That poor woman.
Really?
She seemed like kind of a jerk, but like your fiance leaving on the day of your marriage, being gone for 2 days with a different woman.
Yeah.
That's just not good.
Why-
Also, her like leaving it like I don't want to get married anymore, and just
Yeah.
leaves. Like, okay, so obviously you're setting it up for Katharine Hepburn and him to like
Yeah.
be together in the end.
Well, no, it's more just like we had plans. Like we rented out like a venue. Like
Yeah.
we invited all our
She-
family and friends.
Poor woman, because no one should have their fiance leave them for 2 days with a member of the opposite sex.
Uh-huh.
She was a turd. Cause like, oh, well, we should have a nice honeymoon. Like, no, our work is the only thing that really matters. Like, we're
She's
gonna
not
get married.
that much of a turd. They just have communication issues.
No, she's a turd.
Well, also take into account they got shit to do.
Yeah.
If I
They have shit to do, but like, girl, you have one bone to complete the skeleton. You can't go on a honeymoon for a week?
Nope, I can't go on a honeymoon for 10 minutes.
Yeah, she's like, we're gonna get married, then immediately after the ceremony, we're coming back here to complete the skeleton.
Get your honeymoon done later.
I don't think that girl has any interest in any kind of honeymoon at all. I don't think she's into I think she's into Huxley, but I don't think she's like into Huxley in a more like loving way. I think it's very much like, you're a man I find attractive. I'm going to be with the man I find attractive. She does not value Huxley for who he is, while Katharine Hepburn's character does a little bit.
It's the 30s. People didn't marry for love.
Yeah,
they married to
exactly.
like be
Cover up a pregnancy.
or like, hey, be financially stable and get.
Exactly. I'm the sentimentalist here.
You're a little love boy.
I'm a little lover boy.
You're a little love boy.
Yeah. But I don't know. She had noble intentions.
Mm-hmm.
It's odd to say. I feel like he's almost better off with Katharine Hepburn because she's a nightmare.
Well, no, the real answer is that she's better off without him
Very true.
Yeah.
because he just disappeared on their wedding day.
Which it's not. It's Katharine Hepburn's fault. He
Yes.
disappeared.
Oh, it's absolutely. Well, he doesn't know how to stand his fucking ground.
Well, he thought he was being mauled by a leopard. He couldn't like let this poor woman die.
yeah, but once he found out that he's alive, you turn right around.
That's true.
David Huxley has no spine. Any other characters that we want to talk about? The weird fucking therapist character, psychiatrist character, Dr.
Dr. Diet Freud.
Yeah, Dr. German accent.
Am I blanking on the psychiatrist completely?
Yeah,
Yeah.
kinda.
Oh wow, I don't remember him at all.
He's the reason that they end up in jail. I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. They meet him at the party, and then they stumble upon his house in the woods.
Oh my god, yeah, I never thought of him as like a therapist. Yes, that man, where they stole the woman's purse, and that
Yeah.
was that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the reason they end up in jail because he thinks she's hallucinating the leopard on the roof, and then
Yeah.
he sees Huxley holding George, trying to like look into his house to find
Yeah.
Katharine Hepburn's character. He was fine.
He weirdly looks like Michael Stolberg, like 70
Yes.
years before Michael Stolberg.
Yeah, dude, he's great value, Michael Stolberg.
Yeah.
Actually, Michael Stolberg's probably great value him the way it works, but like, not Michael Stolberg. I don't know. I'm rambling at this point, but
All right, let's move on. Do we want to talk about like the concept of the screwball comedy as a whole? Like,
if you want to,
Sure.
I mean, do any of you have anything to say?
you have more to say about it than I do, at least.
I have some stuff to say. You want to start, and I can bounce off of you.
I mainly want to just like the two other screwball comedies I've seen are the two big ones. It Happened One Night and His Girl Friday. I think this is the weakest out of those three. I think it's consistently funny throughout, but this is kind of going back to my criticism before. It Happened One Night and His Girl Friday both have something that really anchor them, so that there's something more. So when the laughs are low, there's still something you're invested in. So with It Happened One Night, it's that Clark Cable,
Clark Cable, dude. Josh Brolin is Clark Cable.
Clark Gable and Claudette Colbert just have the most magnetic chemistry in the world, and I will watch the two of them do anything for 12 hours. And with His Girl Friday, it's that you really get invested in this story of this newspaper, and for a large turn in like the third act, it just turns into like a murder mystery, which is weird. And Rosalind Russell is fucking incredible in that movie. But with this, it's like the jokes, when they don't work, I don't care about Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn getting together in the end. And in the end, I don't think they are together. I think Katharine Hepburn's just going to continue to be delusional, and Cary Grant is like too much of a fucking pushover to say anything about it.
Yes and no. They're together, but they're not like gonna get married the next day.
They're not happy. Katharine Hepburn
They're
might be.
content.
Katharine
He's
Hepburn.
content with his situation.
Well, to be fair, he's marrying Rich,
Yes.
so
He's a pushover.
he's absolutely a pushover.
But the thing, at the end of the day, he's getting the good end of the deal. He's with a woman who cares about him, or at least thinks she does. He's getting the $1 million for the dinosaur/museum. He's a beautiful woman who's in love with him. At the end of the day, he's coming out pretty good. Like he's
but
living
he's
the
gonna
dream.
treat her like garbage.
No, he won't. We'll define like garbage.
I don't know. He thinks she's a lunatic, like legitimately.
Well, he's not gonna like give her shit for it. He's a nice guy.
You don't know. Huxley could become a drunkard.
I hope not.
Huxley doesn't have enough of a spine to become a drunkard.
What if this turned into like a Douglas Sirk movie all of a sudden? Like the sequel is just this sad melodrama about a failed marriage.
There's no dialogue for the first hour.
No, it's just them sitting across a dinner table slowly drinking scotch.
The only sound effect is glass clinking on the table and Huxley smacking her.
Katharine Hepburn slowly drinking scotch is an image I really like.
On their fireplace, it's Baby who has now been stuffed after he's passed away.
What is it called? Bringing back baby?
Martin Scorsese's Bringing Up the Dead.
Bringing up the dead.
No,
Bring up the
what-
dead, comma, baby.
Baby got back. What
Baby
are
is back.
bringing up emotional baggage?
Bringing up baggage.
It-
Bringing up the past.
You need to no. Baby needs to be entitled.
Baby, I Shrunk the Kids.
Baby, I Hate Our Marriage.
That was pretty good.
Baby, I'm bringing back the bullshit.
Oh God, bringing up prenup. Wait,
Ooh, that peaked.
Sorry. it was
prenup
funny.
the baby.
Prenup the what? Okay, let's just stop.
This bit is over. Clay, do you have anything to say about the screwball comedy?
I agree with you in that the only other experience I have with screwball comedies is I've read the script of Frank Capra, Jimmy Stewart, the one about the family.
You Can't Take It With You.
You Can't Take It With You. I'm familiar with the script of You Can't Take It With You, and I have seen.
Well, we both played Paul.
Yeah,
Yeah.
another story for another time.
We'll probably do You Can't Take It With You. It's actually that's not true. There's like 6 other Capras I want to do before that.
Yeah. But I'm familiar with that script, and I've seen both, again, His Girl Friday and The Philadelphia Story. Funny enough, all the screwball comedies I know have seen star Cary Grant, and of those 3, I agree with you that this is the weakest, mainly because His Girl Friday is my favorite Cary Grant movie. Of those I've seen, Philadelphia Story is a very close second. And so this, it's... How do I put this? I just find the characters in both of those so much more engaging, and I think the bits, whether they're funny or not, are just so much. At the very least, they engage me more, and the dialogue is clever enough where I'm like, oh, even if I don't find this funny, that's still a witty way of saying that phrase.
Yeah.
That's not here in Bringing Up Baby.
Quick side note about Philadelphia Story. That's a movie I tried to watch 5 different times. I can't get past the first 15 minutes.
Oh, I love Philadelphia Story.
I don't know why. I start it and I'm like not in the mood, and I don't know why.
Like me with Clerks. But like 14 minutes and 30 seconds later.
But you only tried it once.
Yeah, and I was like, no, not for me.
Drunk Jimmy Stewart in that movie is one of my favorite things.
That's the thing. Jimmy Stewart's my favorite actor, and it's his only Oscar win. But do you know why he won that Oscar?
Because he didn't win for Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Yes. It was the year after.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's something about that first scene where she fucking snaps the golf clubs and throws them at him. It just puts me off, and I don't know why. What were we talking about? Screwball comedies. What's
Yes.
next on my notes? Chemistry. We were kind of talking about this
Girl,
earlier.
they got chemistry to pay the bills.
Here's my thing.
don't know what that
Comedic
means.
chemistry, through the roof.
Yeah.
They are wonderful comedy partners.
I feel like comedic chemistry kind of bleeds through to the rest of it, at least for me.
I don't think they have romantic chemistry at all.
I can see it together. I don't see. For me, the movie is not about their romance. It's about this guy who's a pushover and this girl who's like delusional and wealthy and weird,
Yeah.
transporting this leopard places. That's
Yeah.
what the movie is for me. I don't think of it as a romance at all. Which I know it obviously is one, but that, like, in my brain, that's like tertiary to the rest of like this guy, this girl,
Yeah.
animal.
It's the foundation of comedies that would come later, like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles,
Yeah.
and all those sorts of things. I feel like Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn could have romantic chemistry because they're 2 of the most attractive people in the history of Hollywood. It's just these characters. I don't believe it at all. I don't believe it in any way, shape, or form. I never believe that he could ever be in love with her because his hair will fall out before he will admit that. And she's just delusional, and she just wants what she wants, and she doesn't really know why. And I find that to be frustrating.
I can understand that. I don't know. I like crazy women.
You okay? Do you want me to cut that out of the podcast?
That's up to
No,
that's up to your discretion.
That should be the opening button.
I like crazy women. Clay, any comments on that end?
On the romantic chemistry end, like my thing is, so much of her character is I want this guy, and all her motivation is I want this guy.
Yeah.
And so to me, that just sort of kills the chemistry right there, because I'm like,
she literally says at one point, like, I'll like him and I'll do whatever I need to do to get him. Something along those lines.
that whole thing just kind of kills the character for me, because it's like, all right, she's not a person, she's just kind of a very sexist objective.
Yeah, well, you get that whole thing for her where she likes this guy and she'll do whatever she can to get him. Mm-hmm. That's obvious to like 3/4 maybe. Then the last fourth, she's like directly says it out loud for people who didn't get it earlier.
Mm-hmm. Also, at what point does she fall in love with him?
I think she fell in love with him on the golf course. I think she knew it was his ball.
What? Before we even saw her? Because that's how she's introduced.
I know.
Do you think she saw him from across the fucking, like,
I think
the green?
Maybe it started as like, I'm gonna fuck with this guy, but I read it as like she's fully aware it's his ball.
How? We never even saw her before. The first time we see it is when his ball lands, and then she's suddenly walking up to it.
Well, my thing, here's the thing, different thing. Where like, you know how like authors say the character lives and dies in the page.
Uh-huh.
The character, she existed before we saw her. She did things before we saw her. She could have fallen in love with him before we even met her.
That's not good filmmaking, though. That's
Yeah, I know.
you should.
I know.
You're making excuses for your fucking delusional.
I know. Hey, I'm a guy. I got beliefs, you know.
I want to fall in love with the Captain Hepburns.
Oh my god. Well, no, I don't know. I read that as like not that she knows it's his ball per se. That's a bad interpretation of what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. I took it maybe as like, at some point when this guy keeps telling you it's his ball, you're not that dense. At some point you're just messing with the guy a little bit, and I think maybe that turned into like a attraction there.
Yeah, that's the start of a flirtation. At what point did she fall in love with him?
Fall in love with him
When he ripped her pants off.
Yeah, is it the hat thing?
I love a man with a messed up hat.
I would say the first time we saw her displaying the love is when she pretended to be mauled by Baby. As weird as that sounds, when she does the whole like rubbing the phone against the grate and like screaming. That's her thing where she's like, I'm gonna do what I need to do to get the guy I love near me, or the guy
Into
that
my
I'm attracted to at least.
Yeah.
Maybe not in love quite yet.
Yeah.
That seemed to me as obviously like it's a very childish thing to do, a very mature, very selfish thing to do. Mm-hmm. But it took me as a thing that came out of attraction rather than like being a spoiled child.
And honestly, borderline sociopathic.
I wouldn't go borderline.
It's just kind of
It's just kind of sociopathic a little bit to pretend you're being mauled by a vicious animal to get the guy you like to come over to your apartment.
Yeah, no, it's fucked, man. It's
a good technique.
It's real.
It'd
You
work
gonna
on me.
use that on Tinder dates, Connor?
Hey guys, I'm being mauled by a leopard.
No, just make that your bio. Hey, I'm being mauled by a leopard.
Currently being mauled by a leopard.
Oh man. Anything else that we have to say about the two of them, their chemistry?
They're great.
Clay, at what point do you think they fell in love? Or
when
she fell in love with him?
I think the moment they fell in love was when the screenwriter was like, oh shit, I need to put in a romance.
Oh, she needs a motivation of some kind.
I'm
What
gonna
do
get-
women like, man?
They like the boys, you know? I'm gonna get this boy no matter what
It's
it
3 in the
takes.
morning. They're halfway down the bottle of Jim Beam. They've had like 3 cigars. So it's like, what makes this plot move? Does she
What
have
do women want?
Does she have a motivation in any way, shape,
I
or
get
form?
it. The woman wants to be with that Cary Grant feller.
They love the Cary Grant pecker right there.
Yeah.
That's what women fantasize about most, right?
Think people call this dick the Gregory Pecker? Gregory Peck, not Cary Grant.
We're talking about a different actor now.
I know.
Gregory Peck's like foot-long cock.
How much this is gonna make it in?
Gregory Peck's foot-long cock is definitely staying
Okay,
in.
all right.
My mother will never listen to this, but that's staying in.
Mine might.
That man had the deepest voice in the world. He was made of testosterone.
We should talk about To Kill a Mockingbird later in this.
Well, first I need to finish that book because I'm listening
Okay.
to the audiobook right now. I have it. I own it.
I have opinions on that movie that most people do not share.
You don't like it?
No. I think it's bad.
You think it's? Do you think it's a bad adaptation? Or you think it's a bad movie?
Both.
Oh boy. Well, I have to finish the book and then watch the Blu-ray that I own before we can talk about it.
Controversial opinion. Please don't leave hate comments.
I also really want to see Aaron Sorkin's play version.
I do drastically want to see that with Jeff Daniels as Atticus Finch.
Isn't Scout older in that? Like, he made changes to it.
He made, I think it's, from what I understand, it's still the basic plot. Like, he's not, like, mixing the Ghost Set of Watchmen into it.
No.
It's just Scout is an older character from
She's
the
like
start of Kill
16
Mockingbird.
instead.
Yes.
She's 47 years old and Vietnamese.
They combined...
They do a reverse Aloha.
She has a drinking problem.
What's the name of the fucking, the, like, person that lives with them?
Oh, they're made.
Yeah.
Not Calpurnia.
It is Calpurnia.
It is Calpurnia?
It begins with a C, but
It's
I didn't want to say,
Calpurnia.
like, Karina or something.
It's Calpurnia. Yeah, I
It's
thought you were talking
Calpurnia.
about Jem.
She and Calpurnia are the
Who's her
same
brother.
are the same character. It's a dual role.
Then there's Truman Capote, who's Dill.
Santa Claus walks in at some point.
It's just I forgot Philip Seymour Hoffman died for a second. I was gonna say it's just him as Truman Capote comes in as Dill.
No, it's
Yeah.
John C. Reilly doing Philip Seymour Hoffman as Truman Capote.
This podcast
We were in
is-
True
this
West
is-
together. I
This
can do
podcast
this.
is off the rails.
It's already more together than the Halloween episode.
You think so?
I mean, on the Halloween episode, I mean, we were more on topic, but at least this won't be nearly as fucking long.
Yeah, no. It's
Fair
gonna be an hour instead of 2.
We're pretty much done. There's one thing I want to talk about. And then
Go
we'll get
for
to
it,
our
Dad.
recommendations. Animal acting.
Okay, animal acting. The animals are great in this movie. They behave themselves. George is especially great. The fight between George and Baby,
I love it. I love it so much. It's
I-
fucked up, but I love it.
I love it as a moment in the movie. Great moment.
On
Taking
an
myself
ethical level?
out of the movie and like they filmed this dog fighting a leopard.
It's insane.
And the things they must have done to that leopard to make sure the dog didn't die,
Die.
or reverse how many dogs they went through.
I don't think they went through that many dogs.
Here's the thing. They would have had to declaw the leopard and remove all of its teeth,
Absolutely.
which ethically is a nightmare.
Yeah. No
That
good.
is a nightmare. So that scene works. It's an interesting scene, intriguing scene. It's cool to watch.
Yeah.
But the moral side to that takes away all the fun I had with that. The half second where it took my brain to realize the ethical problems with it, that scene just became. What? It's not. Is it Milo Notice where they had the pug
Yeah.
where he fights a bear cub?
Yeah.
And, like-
there's worse shit that they didn't.
Well, they drowned a pug in Milo Notice.
Well, there's even worse shit.
Well,
than
yeah.
that.
The
They
point, the stuff I know is like 4 pugs were killed by fighting a bear cub. They drowned
Yeah.
a few of them.
Yeah.
This isn't to the same extent because no animals died, as far as I'm aware. But that's still morally beyond fucked.
Yeah.
We're like, George is great. The dog who plays George,
I love George.
excellent. The what was the leopard's name again?
Nisa.
Nisa, amazing actor, especially if she does play both leopards. I don't want to think about what they had to do to Nisa to get her in the mindset to play the crazy leopard,
Yeah.
because there's probably the trainer behind the scenes whipping her, and I don't want to think about that at all. Like our professor who showed us the film said, morally this movie's kind of screwed up because the animals were probably mistreated.
Yeah.
And that's a sad reality when it comes to older films using animals. It's just a sad fact.
Well, that's one of the things. It sounds fucked up to say that I liked it. Here's the thing. I do not condone the mistreatment of animals at all. In any way, shape, or form. I'm not a big animal person, but that's fucked up. Like, don't fuck with animals. They don't deserve it. They don't need it. You especially don't need to, like, harm them for your art. That's the most bullshit thing in
Exactly.
the world. No one should be harmed for art. But my thing is, like, I can't change the fact that these animals were mistreated. As solely, like, a time capsule of, like,
Yeah.
a moment that should never
Like,
happen again.
If this movie came out this year,
Oh, it'd be a
we
fucking
well,
nightmare.
no, we would be having a very different conversation right
Yeah.
now.
We would be disgusted.
Like
to
here,
see.
we're not condoning it, but it happened. It's garbage.
We can't change it.
It can't change it now. The thing we can learn from and what happened is we've grown from it. The what's the animal that that works with animals on film sets?
Oh, it's a specific organization. I know what you're talking about.
Yes, that organization. They exist for a reason. I did a presentation on this last year. They exist for a reason. They're important. The work they do is beyond important to keep animals safe and happy and healthy on sets.
Yeah.
Huge thing. I could have a whole like hour-long conversation about treatment of animals on sets and how it's been totally fucked in the past.
Yeah.
But the point is, it's getting better now. Looking at this movie as a time capsule for that treatment, it's beyond screwed over. All I can say is that I'm glad no animals were killed.
As far as we know.
As far as I'm aware, no animals were killed in this movie, which sadly is a mark of success for the 30s treatment of animals.
Yeah. Yeah, the George and baby fight. It's fucked up. I wouldn't want anyone to shoot it today. I fucking loved watching it the entire time.
It was very intriguingly well done. It was brutal.
Fascinating. Well, here's the thing. George was holding his own.
Yeah,
That's a ferocious dog.
The dog was winning the fight because I don't think the leopard had any way to defend itself.
Yeah,
really,
it didn't have any teeth whatsoever.
it's the stronger of the two animals.
Yeah.
But it's like when you have a cat who doesn't have its claws. When it's mad at you, it still tries to scratch you.
Yeah.
George is still trying to bite and scratch George, but it can't.
Yeah.
And it doesn't know why it can't do anything.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. We're getting really deep and sad about this scene.
Yeah.
But no, the animals were great. George was excellent, digging up the
love
boots.
George. I love
He
George
was great.
so much. Yeah, Misa, is that the name of the leopard?
Nisa, I think.
Nisa. Would definitely have to have all their fucking teeth ripped out because they're on set with movie stars.
From what IMDb trivia,
Uh-huh.
apparently Nisa might not have her teeth ripped out because when she went after Katharine Hepburn, she might have actually really hurt Katharine Hepburn. Mm-hmm. Nisa must have had her claws and teeth removed though, or else George would have been dead.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
there's
absolutely.
no way.
Yeah, it takes. Well, if an animal thinks they're defending themselves, it will just snap its decision. They won't even think about it. Mm-hmm. But
also the lead up to the George and baby fight.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about how the trainers got that into action.
It's fucked up, man.
Like
Whatever they did,
we're going really deep into this.
Well, you are.
Yeah, sorry. Like I said, I did a whole presentation on treatment of animals in feature films last year. And that's still kind of like in the back of my head from like the amount of effort I put into that.
But yeah, just like interacting with Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn.
No, all the animal actors are amazing in this.
Apparently, quite frequently, like Nisa is just behind glass.
Yes,
And
or
you can see it.
it's not called reverse projection.
Rear projection.
Rear projection, yes. When they're in the car, Nisa's rear projected.
Really?
Yes.
That's really good rear projection.
It is very good. You can tell because Nisa's a little too big.
Oh.
There's a part where she's a little too big to be the size leopard she is later. It's very good.
You can't even tell that they're not in a car.
It's good. Like it's very. I looked it up. There's rear projection.
That's damn good rear projection. Because rear projection usually looks... Well, you can tell it's rear projection in the background, but I could not tell that... Wow, that's really good.
Yeah, no, they.
So that's technically like 3 different layers of film, probably.
And she's technically in glass cages when
Yeah.
she's like in the bathroom with Gregory. I think it's Gregory Peck with Cary Grant. Like you can see a little bit of the reflection of the glass. Like they were very careful with her.
Yeah. Well,
around the actors.
There's also moments where you just see their legs, and I'm like, that's probably stand-ins.
Yeah.
It kind of
Might even be just like mannequins if the legs aren't moving. Shit like that.
Usually the legs were moving in those shots.
The legs were moving. Also with like you could see Katharine Hepburn's ankles and stuff, and like you could tell if that's a mannequin or a real person.
That's true.
Yeah, George is a good boy. Nisa's a great actress. Anything else we want to talk about? Any last thoughts before?
I mean, are we doing the whole recommend, don't recommend?
Yeah, that's what we do on the show.
Okay. Yeah.
So, Connor, Clayton, would you recommend Bringing Up Baby?
I would recommend Bringing Up Baby 100 and maybe actually no, not 100, maybe like 98%.
98%.
If you don't like, there's people who just don't like old movies.
Yeah.
Or people who don't have a sense of humor. Bringing the Baby is not for you.
No. If you don't like old movies, watch more old movies because they're.
Yeah, as someone who has barely seen any of them, to be fair, it's a big area I need to expand in. I loved Bringing Up Baby, and I'm excited to watch His Girl Friday now. I'm beyond excited to watch His Girl Friday.
I fucking love it. Yeah, if you don't like old movies, watch more old movies because that's how you learn to like them. That's how you learn to appreciate them for what they are.
Exactly.
Clay?
How do I phrase this? I would recommend it if you are easily able to pause. Because there were a lot of moments where I was like, I need a break from. Like, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Like, it's just going so fast, and like I kind of get done with
the
it at
dialogue is
points.
really like.
There were points where I was just kind of like, all right, I kind of want to pause this, go make myself a sandwich, maybe check Twitter. You know, like I needed an intermission. I think I would have liked
You
a lot.
needed a smoke break.
I would have appreciated. I think I would have liked it a bit more if I had just the 5 minutes to walk away.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say recommend if you can have the pause button at hand.
Yeah, that was, to build off your thing, that was kind of my thing with something like His Girl Friday. You know, it's just line after line after line after line, and I'm hanging on every word. Whereas this, like, it was line after line after line, and I felt exhausted. Like, it's like, instead of, like, the words just sort of rolling over you and just kind of being in the moment, kind of like an Aaron Sorkin thing. Like, he's probably the greatest modern example of this kind of writing we have.
Yep.
Though he leans more dramatic. Obviously, it's filled with humor throughout, but he's more of a dramatist. This was just like getting pummeled with words.
And part of that, I feel, because you can tell there is a lot of people talking over each other. And I think that was part of why it seemed so much faster, because nobody had there was less of a, I'm going to say everything I need to say, and you're going to say everything you need to say. So we've all conveyed all the information we need. It was a lot of just sort of jumbling the information at the same time.
Yeah. And yeah, for me, it's a mild recommend. I think there's stronger examples of screwball comedies, but it's certainly a fun movie. If you're not a big fan of animal cruelty, probably stay away. These animals did not get treated in the best light, I can imagine. But
You guys, from me recommending it, sounds like I like animal cruelty.
it doesn't mean you like animal cruelty. Old movies, I've seen a lot of them. Westerns, they treated those horses like shit.
No, yeah.
They treated those horses like shit. Most of the time, they specifically got deaf horses because gunfire would freak them out. And they would, like, buck the actors.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so most of the time when you see a Western, there's a lot of guns firing. Those horses either have balls of steel and can handle gunfire, or they're deaf. Oh, but I've seen some movies where, like, a horse gets jumped off a cliff and with a stuntman, I'm like, that horse is going to die.
Oh,
as soon as it
yeah.
lands.
That's in my animal cruelty presentation.
I forget what movie. That's in the silent era, though. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I forget the name of that movie. But yeah, it's a mild recommend. Good performances. Really funny stuff throughout, even though I kind of felt tired by the end. It's like a 3.5 star movie, probably.
It's a 3.5 for me, too.
I think I gave it a 3-star, yeah.
Yeah. But it's a mild recommend. And honestly, it's always good to have more Katharine Hepburn and Cary Grant in your life. So that's the end of our show here. We'd like to thank you again for spending the past hour and 2 minutes. We're like legitimately half the time of the last episode. That's what happens when you only talk about one movie. For spending the past hour with us. If you'd like to follow us on social media, we're at RialtoPod on both Instagram and Twitter. That's RIALTO Pod. We'll be posting updates on future episodes there, in addition to a bunch of other fun stuff, so you're going to want to check those out. You can email us at rialtopod@gmail.com. Please feel free to send us recommendations to movies to watch on the show, furthering discussion on past episodes, or any random thoughts on movies you have in general. We might even just read them on the air. I'd like to thank Nikolai Heidloss for the use of our theme song Last Night. You can find more of his music at hooksounds.com. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, you've noticed that we have a new logo. That was designed by my friend Miranda, who will hopefully be a future guest, and she did an amazing job. Took my pretty crappy idea and expanded on it and made it way better. So I'd like to thank her a bunch. In addition, I'd like to thank my co-hosts this week, Clay and Connor, for joining me. You can find me on Twitter at SteveLikeBird, and you can find Connor
at Cranberry14 at twitter.com. Cranberry, like the berry, but C-Rand, like just add a D after the N, so it's Cranberry. And then I think it's 14, it might be 18. It's one of them numbers, you'll find
It's
me.
18.
It's 18.
It's 18, it's that one. So Cranberry18 at twitter.com. Follow me for really dumb memes and film news.
Are you gonna plug your photography?
Oh, also it is Connor Randolph Photography at Instagram.
Was that Connor Randolph Photography on Instagram?
Yes, please follow me. I am building a portfolio, and if you guys like really cool photography, you should definitely follow me for very cool portraiture that I do. And yeah, I will hopefully be expanding on that more often. And yeah.
Clay, do you have any social media you'd like to plug, or just tell people to watch David Lynch movies, or
I am watching
Harold Lloyd?
Watching way too much David Lynch and Harold Lloyd. If you need a hand on a set, contact Clay Nuger. I'm on LinkedIn. connect with me.
No, honestly, it doesn't matter if you're a complete stranger. You could be in Anchorage, Alaska. If you ask to connect with Clay on LinkedIn,
I will connect.
He will connect with you, then brag about it to us for hours.
Yep.
I have
I have
80 million LinkedIn connections.
Guys, I have a connection in Anchorage, Alaska.
Yeah. My goal is to get to a point where I have more connections than the population of the world.
No, the night that Clay joined LinkedIn, he turned to me and said, "Steve, can I connect with your dad?" And I'm like, "Sure, Clay. I don't see why not." The next morning, I get a text, and my dad's like, "Why did your roommate connect with me on LinkedIn?"
Admittedly, it was funny. Mainly I did that because it was funny.
Anyway, come back in 2 or, in this case, 3 weeks, when we'll be discussing... Come back in another 2 or 3 weeks. We're a little off schedule this time, but I promise we'll get better. Where we'll be disgusting.
We'll be disgusting. Instead of my toe bitch with a fucking cowgirl fucking boots bitch.
is
Disgusting.
We'll be discussing another film of questionable quality. And until next time, whatever you do, stop making sense.